Hello, my name is James Pierce, and you are not gonna believe this shit. I mean, I'm in it, and I don't even really believe it. Spend your whole life thinking the world makes sense, that things have sort of an order to them, that logic and reason are a thing. Trust me, buddy, they're fucking not. And it's the moment that you realize that everything just goes to hell. On the day that began my journey into this swelling world of madness that I now find myself in, I was just waking up out of bed. There was a woman laying on top of me. I can't remember her name. She was fun though. Met her at a club the night before. I'll definitely call her again. She's one of those wild ones, you know. Regardless, I awoke to the sound of my phone ringing, pulling her off of me for the moment, to reach over and grab it from the bedside, answering it rather groggily and very annoyed. Ugh, whoever this is better be damn important. I have the hangover of the century, and a beautiful woman in my bed. And it is my time off. I am specifically on vacation, I announced loudly into the phone, disgruntled as a somewhat mousy gentleman answered back. Hello, Mr. Pierce. I am led to believe that you are on vacation. However, my employer wishes to speak with you regarding a very lucrative job opportunity. Your skill set comes highly recommended. That you're one of the best in your field. At least that's what the reports seem to say. Yeah, did the reports also tell you that I don't do criminal gigs? So if this is about ripping off mobsters or some kind of political assassination or anything that falls into those kind of categories, then, as usual, you can piss off. I run a legit business. Clean ops only. Yes, we're well aware. My employer, in fact, is closely tied with the National Secret Service Administration, and we have their full approval for the operation. Ugh, the CIA. I hate doing jobs for the CIA. They always leave you on that need-to-know basis crap. Yes, well, secrecy is important, but I think you'll find that the compensation makes it more than worth it. After that, the guy gave me an address to meet him, as well as a time. After waking my guest from her slumber, and telling her that I had work to do and had to hit the bricks, and having another few quick rounds before she left, I finally commenced to getting dressed, showering up, all of the regular stuff before I went for this meet, which was held in a ritzy business hotel. Penthouse suites, of course. The 36th floor, reserved for only the richest of the rich. The guy had actually bought out the entire floor, so his guards were stationed at the elevator, right when you enter. And the moment that the doors are opening, they already had their hands on their guns. Whoever this guy is, he's definitely paranoid. They gave me a quick once-over and confiscated all of my weaponry, which I was actually surprised about. I had some very thoroughly hidden things, but their search left nothing to chance. They even sent me through an X-ray sweep. A portable one. I mean, it takes some construction, assembly, deassembly to move around, but still, portable. Just to make sure I was clear. It took nearly an hour. But finally they let me pass, saying they would return my equipment once the meeting was over. Finally, I was led to one of the interior rooms to the building, in the center so that there were no window views, but the room was still, of course, massive and fabulously luxurious, decked out with everything one could expect when you have a buttload of money, which did give me positive notes that this guy could at least afford the offer he was making. As I entered, seeing two individuals within the center of the room, one in a very comfortable-looking chair, fit for a king, one leg crossed over the other, what looked like a fine robe surrounding very comfortable-looking relaxation attire, a glass of red wine in his hand, long black hair. I gotta say, the guy looked pretty sharp. You know, one of those pretty boys that women go gaga over. Looked old enough to be considered handsome, but not so old that anyone would ever consider him elderly in any sort of fashion, regardless of how young you were, unless you were actually a child. You know, those golden years, when you're in that exact right position, where pretty much regardless of the age of the woman, they all think you look good. Hey, I'm not really gonna hate on it. I'm approaching that golden area myself, and I'm sort of looking forward to it. And I'm not exactly bad for looks either. I do more than okay. And beside him was a thin, tall gentleman in a suit. A typical blasé gray business type. Neatly combed hair, glasses. Most likely the gentleman who was speaking to me on the phone. Which meant Big Papa in the chair was the money bag. Of course. Hello, Mr. It doesn't matter. Introductions are pointless. We all know who he is. Take a seat, the man said, gesturing to the chair in front of him as he silenced his employee. Nice digs, I said as I took the seat calmly, staring across to him. Now, on to business. My employee has spoken to you about a lucrative job opportunity. I want to tell you outright that this is not going to be a cakewalk. There is no easy money to be had here. However, if you have the skill and the ability, then this could be one of the most lucrative opportunities of your life, difficult though it may be. My name is Regulus Morgan. Wow, that's some name. Did your mother have a problem with you? I replied, cocking a small grin. No, my mother was, you could call it, old-fashioned, he said, not breaking a beat. There was no smile and no anger in his statement. He didn't even seem to feel insulted by it. It was almost as if he expected it and wasn't swayed in the slightest. I have made a very good living and am quite well off, though you most likely have never heard of me in any of the popular magazines. Speaking of the richest men on the planet, that's only because I keep my wealth personal. I have no need of being on the cover of every magazine in the world. I in fact spend a great deal of money to not be so. I prefer my privacy. As far as my profession, I am what you might call an antiquities dealer, reclaimer, and restorer. I specialize in finding antiques, ancient artifacts, and things that you won't find in any history book. Things that hold value far beyond what most could truly imagine. Their monetary value, astronomical. But in terms of their true value, they are priceless. I've called you here today because there is an artifact which is currently being held by some unsavory individuals. The artifact in question was stolen from an ancient tomb some time ago. And what exactly is this artifact? I replied, raising my eyebrow as this began to pique my interest. Well, I suppose there's no problem in telling you. The artifact in question is specifically a suit of armor. A suit of armor. Aren't there plenty of suits of armor around? Why do you need me to get something that's so widely available? Oh, I'm afraid that you underestimate the value of this specific suit of armor. You see, long before history began to be recorded into the books, as it were, there was a mad king named Sophronius. Sophronius, well, he completely lost his sanity, became convinced that the armor he wore was evil, refused to remove it under any circumstance. He, in fact, was so concerned with the possibility of somebody else donning the armor, which he spoke of as cursed beyond imagination, that he actually had himself buried in it, entombed within a catacomb, the catacomb itself sealed and buried deep beneath the surface of the earth, hundreds of feet below, hoping that he could take the armor with him to the afterlife, hide it away from the world for all eternity. So, you want me to retrieve this cursed armor? Well, I gotta say, it's a bit morbid. You'll find that there are a great many things that are morbid beyond the pages of history. Truth be told, most of what most people know of history is sugar-coated and layers so thick that you cannot see what lies beyond them. The truth is often far more frightening than the history that you know. This suit of armor falls within that subset. Its value is beyond your comprehension, and I have been tasked with hiring somebody to reacquire the armor. If you successfully complete this task, your payment will be 20 million, with the armor itself being valued well over $300 million. But as I said, its true value is far beyond that. So tell me, is this a job that you'd find interesting? I smiled for a moment. Interesting is beyond the point. For $20 million, I wouldn't care if you were sending me to pick up a teacup. Consider it done. I'll fetch your cursed armor. You just remember to sign that check. Very good. And happy hunting to you. My assistant will give you the details on the way out, the man said as he smiled. A somewhat unsettling presence, but at the moment I didn't really pay it any mind. Truthfully, after everything is said and done, I sorta wish I had told him to cram that money up his ass. 20 million was not worth it. Because now, well, my life has become a nightmare. And it's all because I accepted one foul job. Ain't that a bitch?